And so guys, this is the demo of the final project. So as you scroll down, you will see all the countries being displayed. That's a nice UI. Click on any of them and you see the details of the country. You can go back home and then as you see all these countries, so click on any of these buttons here, filter, and then you filter through any of the countries. There's a search button here, it's actively searching. Okay, so as you type in, you don't have to tap on search and it comes. So you come back here, you see all the countries. So let me search Togo and then let me view the details about Togo. Okay, as I view the details about Togo, I see their capital, that is Lomé, and then I see an info about the country. So click on the link over here and it leads you directly to the map of the country that is on Google Maps. Okay, so it's a simple project. Come back home over here, you see all this country. Now there's a button at the top here. This button leads you to a map of the whole world. Okay, so you're going to do this map too in React. You're going to use a special package in React. I'll show you later on as the video progresses. Okay, so that is it, and I want you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to like this video, share it with your friends. Okay, all right, now let's go. Alright, so this is a basic structure of the startup folder I'm going to use. Okay, I have my node models installed. I don't want to start from scratch. Okay, so I want you to view my package.json file. You'll see the dependencies that I have installed. I'm going to use Axios. I'm going to use the URL there is open layers map. Okay, so the link is in the video description. As I said, I'm going to use Vite to start my app, and I'm going to do it in dev mode. So you see a lot of npm start, npm run dev. That is Vite I'm using for my video. Now see, yeah, these are my assets or the pictures. You get them in the startup folder. This is a mock-up of all the folders that I have. So I have my navbar, I have my data. This is a mock data I'm going to use. I'm not fetching from my API yet. Okay, so this is my countries. Everything is over here. I just want you to have a view of it. Okay, you have it in the comment section, in the link description. Okay, I'm using ESLint, so you see a lot of my this thing is me underlined. Okay, so now let's go to my app.js file. So I'm going to give you an overview of my app.js file. Okay, so this is my app.js file. You can see I've imported my app, my map, my navbar, and my countries. Okay, from my components and my pages. And then I'm using React router DOM. Okay, so you see browser router, my routes, and then my route. Okay, so this is how I use them in my app. You see my routes, that's the countries being on the home page, and then the map. Okay, so now let's just start our app and let's just start building right away. So I do a PM run dev, and then you see it over here. Okay, my app have started. All right, so as my app has started, before I do everything, let me show you something. Okay, now you see over here that this is my navbar under the components folder. So I'm going to start with my navbar. I'm going to start building my navbar. Okay, so as I start building my navbar, I want to show you something. This is the mock-up of the final projects. Okay, so coming back to my index.css, I want to show you I have styles already designed in my mockup folder. Link is in the description, as I said. So you see over here that I've designed my styles for a BTN. Okay, so I'm going to have a BTN in my code. You can see the BTN over here. I've written some CSS code over there. Okay, so anytime you see me type BTN, I have the CSS in my index.css, and I have their CSS for their small screens. Okay, I've made it responsive, so we have my responsive styles there. So without wasting much time, let's start from the navbar. So from the navbar, let me just import my nav.css file. So I just do import nav.css, and then when I do import nav.css, now let me start building right away. So I'm going to create a tag over here, an empty tag, and then I'm going to start building. So I have my nav over here. Inside my nav, I'm going to create another div called navbar. Okay, so I'll create a div called navbar, and inside of that div, I'll create an ordered list. That's a UL tag, and then over there I have my logo. I'll have my logo. That BUSYDEV is my logo. It's my name. I use across board BUSYDEV. Apart from the logo, I have my app links. Okay, so this links leads to anything apart that is not on the home page. You see over here in the mockup. Okay, so that is it. So I have my logo and then I have my lab. Inside of my logo consists of different elements. Okay, so it has a code and then my names. So for the code, I'm going to import an icon from React Icons. Without wasting much time, and I'm not going to visit the React Icons website to show you these codes, but then I'm going to type them straight away off head. Okay, so bear with me on that. Now let's continue. So the code I want to use is a BS code. So I import from React Icons BS, and then I just type in BS code slash. So BS code slash is the code icon. Okay, so BS code slash, I put it under my logo, and then let me wrap it nicely. So I have my BS code slash over here. So that's not what only is in my logo. Inside my logo is also an H2 of my name. That's the BUSYDEV. Okay, so busy, and then the dev is going to be in a span. Okay, I want to style the dev differently, so I'll put it inside a span. Let me make this capital. So I do that BUSYDEV over here, so you can see it over here. So far what we've done, we've not done any CSS to it. Okay, before I continue, let me add the class name to the span. Let me just add danger. Okay, so that it helps me style it. So going into my CSS, so I style my navbar. I'm going to give my navbar a background color of VRCLR deep blue. Okay, so that is it. The navbar's background color. This CL deep blue is coming from my index.css. As I showed you, I have my mock colors over here. So you see deep blue, the color is there. Okay, so VRCL deep blue, it applies directly for me. Okay, I'm going to make the position of my navbar fixed and then a width of 100. Okay, so now let me give it also a top of 0 because it's fixed, and then it's going to be on top of everything. So the ZTNS will be 999. Oh, there's something wrong with my width. Oh yes, it's supposed to be VW, so I'll just make my width 100 VW. That's the viewport width. Okay, and then my padding will be set to run rem up and down, and then 4 rem on the sides. Okay, you won't see it very well yet, but then my padding has been applied. Okay, so now I'm going to text my color to be CL white. Okay, so I have CL white, and then that's it. Now you can see my text. Coming back to my CSS, I'm going to start my unordered list. That's the UL. I'll set my display to flex, and then I'll justify my contents to be space between. Okay, so that they are widely spaced in between, and then I'll align the items to center. Okay, then let me do the list out to be none, so it won't see that dot in my CSS. Okay, so now apart from that, let me go on to start my logo too. You see, this is the logo, the code, and then my name. That's the logo. So on my logo, I'll style it, my display to be set to flex, and then over here I set my align items to center. I realize I'm doing it so many times. Align items to center. I will do something about this definitely, because I can't just be writing display flex align center, display align center all this while in all my code. That will be repetition. Okay, and in code, repetition is not good. But then let's check something out. It has centered very well for me. Okay, so let me proceed. I'll do something about display flex align center as I said. So I'm going to start the H2 in particular, and I'll set my H2 for display to be flexed, and then I'm going to set my font weight to 700. Okay, so you see it nicely over there. I would want to do align center again over here, but that's going to be a lot. Okay, so let me skip that part. So let me start my danger. Let me set my color to be red. Okay, so now the dev over here is set to red, BUSYDEV. Now let's go on to start the open map button that you saw over there in the mock. So in the open map, inside the app links, let me just create another div, and then inside the div, I'm going to the open map, and then there's an icon. So let me first import my icon from EI. So it is going to be EI global, EI outline global. Inside of my H4, I set my EI outline global. I wrap it nicely. When I wrap it nicely, I come back and then I do my open map over here, then nicely as I want it. Mine is not styled yet. I'm going to style it very soon. Okay, so I come back to my app, come to my CSS, And then over here I have to do in my navbar, I target my app links. Let me just do text transform to be capitalized, okay, so that the first letters are capitalized of the two words. But I want to target my div in particular. Okay, I want to be specific with my CSS. So apart from that, I'm going to set my border to 2 pixels solid var. See how the blue, okay, let me change it to dark blue, and then let me give it a height of for it to fit the content, okay. And then I'll continue to I want to do display flex align center, but then let me set my padding to 0.27 rem, and then I set my font weight to 600, and then I give it a border radius of 5 rem, okay. So and then let me do also a letter spacing of 2 pixels for them to be spaced nicely, and then I set my cursor to pointer. And then with this, I think I've completely styled my button apart from the display flex and align center, which I do not want to do again. The font weight is not applied, so let me wait on that, and then let me come back here, and then you see there's H4. That's why I want to do my display flex and align center, okay. So I have my navbar here, I have my app links, and then I'm going to target my H4, okay. So let me first target the whole div first, the hovered state. So for the hovered state, I'll set my background to be dark blue, okay. So I set my background to be dark blue, and then let me add a transition so that it transitions nicely. So VR transition, this transition is also coming from my index.css, okay. Remember I had transition over there, okay. So it transitions nicely. So this is not the only thing I'm going to do. I'm going to set my H4 like I said before. I'm going to set display flex and align center again, which I said I'm going to fix. But let me just type it here to see something, okay. But let me just take it out and fix it straight away. So you see display flex align center, display flex align, it's too much in my code. So I come back to my index.css, and then I attach dot center styles, okay. So that anytime I enter this center, so I'm going to set here display flex align items to be centered, and then wherever I put center, the div will be centered. Wherever I put center, the div will be centered. So over here my H4, I put the center, and then the div becomes centered. So let me refresh. You see everything still works, okay. I'm not doing display flex align center again. So let me just take this one out, and then continue styling my div. I give it a gap of 2.3 rem, and then what again, let me add the font weight of 600, and then so it's looking nicely than before, but then it's not responsive, okay. I want to do something about my responsiveness of my nav. So let me just type here that for small screens, so for small screens I'm going to type in code for small screen. No, it's in my index already, so I'm going to just copy it and then modify it over here, okay. So for small screens, let me take the H1 out. For small screens, I want to target my navbar. So I'll target it, and then I'll give it a padding. I'll reduce the padding to 1 rem and 2 rem. So the padding has become reduced. So you see it nicely over here, okay. Looks better than before. Now let me target the opening map itself, okay. So I'll target my app links. When I target my app links, I'm going to style it the div inside it, okay. I'm going to give it a padding of 0.6 rem, and then I'll give it a border radius. I'll reduce the border radius to 2 rem, okay. And then I would, in fact 2 rem, I'll give it 2 rem, and then I'll make the font weight 400, which is all reduced, okay. So I don't want the open maps that statement to become, okay. So I'll just target the span, and then I'll set the display to none. I just set the display to none, so that I just have the icon there on the small screen. As simple as that, you see. All right, so this is it. This is what we have. I think our navbar is done. So we should go to the next thing. That was the header having the search and then all the buttons, okay. So we are done with our nav. Let's just close them and then move on to the country. We are still in the countries app, okay. So we are going to go to the countries app, and then over here let's start coding out our country. So I just start set my header. Inside my header is going to have 2 divs. Okay, that's the search, and then we have the whole lot of buttons over there. Okay, but then I want to put them all inside the div of filter options, and then you have the buttons, and then before the buttons come, in fact you need the search first. So you have our dot search first before we have our buttons. And so inside the search, I'm going to create a form over here. Okay, so this form is going to comprise of the icon, the inputs, and then the button which has the label search on it. Okay, so over here you see, let me just import my CSS file over here so that I just go ahead and style my CSS. So instead of my CSS file, I'm going to style my header, and in my filter options I'm going to target it directly. So for my filter options, I'm going to give it a margin of 4.7 rem, and then auto on the sides, and then 0 at the bottom. Okay, so I do that, and then I give it a height of 14v viewport height, and then I give it a weight of 90 viewport weight, and then I give it a display of flex, and I'll justify the content to be space between. Okay, so I do that, and then I want to do align center, but then let me take my display flex out, and then I'll just attach my center div so that it will be centered straight away. Okay, so now let's come back to our app, and then let's put something there. So I'm going to put in my search icon. So to put in my search icon, I'm going to import it from AI outline search. So after doing that, I'm going to use it in my code. I type here AI outline search, and then when I do that, I'm going to put here my input tag. The type will still be text, and then I set my placeholder to search country. So let me type it to a search country, and then I add a spell check of false. So let me do my spell check of equal to false, so that it doesn't check my spelling. Okay, so I set my spell check to false, and then let me bring it up here, and then it seems like there's a problem. ESLint is showing me a problem. Okay, it says it's an unknown property. It should be spell check capital C. Okay, so I just fix that, and then that is it. So over here I type in anything, and then it's not highlighted. Okay, all right, so I come back over here, then let me put in my button, my search button finally, so that so I just type in .btn search. Remember, I have my btn styles already. Okay, so I put in search. Now let me go into my styles. Let me style my input tag. So I just over here, let me copy this and paste it over here, and then add to that. For my filter options, I want to target the search div, and then I want to target the form. Okay, so there's a div side of the form that I have. So for the div side of the form, I'm going to do a bunch of CSS, but with I want to show you something. So this is the div. Okay, this is the whole div holding everything. I want to do display flex align center, but let me just do class name of center to it, so that I don't have to type it all out again. Okay, so instead of targeting the div over here, let me just target the input right away, so that I don't do so I'll target the inputs. I'll do the background for the inputs to be baby blue, and then I'm going to add a bunch of styles. Border set to none, padding set to var padding, and then I'm going to do my border radius to be 5 pixels, and then I'm going to set the rest to 0, 0, and then 5 pixels again. Okay, so that the right side does not have any border, and the left sides have 5 pixels up and down. Okay, and then I'm going to when you focus on the input tag, I want the background, in fact I want the border to be set to 2 pixels solid VR. Let me do that dark blue. Okay, so I do that, and anytime you focus on it, the border is set to dark blue. Okay, so now apart from doing that, let me also set for my input tag, let me style my SVG. Okay, so let me start my SVG. So to start the SVG, I'll set to the left margin to be 0.3 rem. I'll set my font size to 1.2 rem, and then I set my position to absolute, and then I'm going to set the Z index of 900. I want it to be above the input tag. Okay, so I do that, and then that is it. That is it. I've started my input tag. Now I'm going to the buttons. Okay, so I'm going to start these buttons. So to start these buttons, before that I need to do something first. I want to get an array of names of continents. Okay, so to create that array, I create my array of continents, and then each one should have the name. That's the general name, and then the code for it. So for the whole world, the continents of the whole world, I set the code to all. Okay, so let me copy and paste this like several times. Okay, so let me just copy and paste this one for several. Let me replicate it, and then for this, and so I'll change this one to Africa, and then the code name will also be Africa, but with a small letter. So I'll do the same for the rest. So over here, I'm going to change the third one to Asia. I've changed this one also to Asia. I'll change this one to Europe, and then I'll also change this one to also Europe, and then this one would be let's see, America, and then Americas, and then this one would be Oceania, and then this one will also be Oceania. Okay, so I'm doing all these because these are the code names for the continent on the REST countries API. Okay, and so I do that, and then that's it. So I'm going to show you a sample of the REST countries API. I've saved it in a JSON file. So you see over there the region set to Europe, and then you look through the rest and you see all the other regions of the countries. Okay, so that is it. So when you are coding, you know how to manipulate it over there. All right, so now let's go on. Let's close that one. Let's go back to pages. In fact, our data. Take a look at more data. You see I have my continent there, Africa, Europe, and all that. Okay, I have my continent over there in my API, in my mock data. Okay, so over here I'm going to map out the continent array. So over here I'm going to do continents.map. In fact, let me type the map first, and then I use my shortcuts, and then I just add continents. Okay, so I have a VS Code extension that helps me to do these shortcuts. So yes, so I add the index to make it a shorthand way, since I don't have IDs, and then I just fetch the code out of it here, and then I over here I input my return statement. So inside my return statement, I want to return some buttons over here. Okay, so I would make the key over here index, and then all the names are going to be here. So I'm going to set this place to code. Okay, but first let me add the class name of BTN and then BN. Okay, BTN is the general button settings, but BN will be specifically for this one. Okay, before I add my code, so I'll start my BN for it to be specific. I'm seeing an error. Objects are not valid as React child. Let me come back here. Okay, the problem I see is with the code. It's supposed to be in curly brackets. Okay, since you have mapping, so now a new button cannot appear as a descendant. Okay, so to fix that error, okay, I put here button, and then button is also a descendant. That shouldn't be. This should rather be a div. In fact, this should be a div, and then the class name for this one should be buttons. So I store all the buttons together, and now let's check it out. Okay, so now everything comes out as I want it. Don't worry about how it looks. I'm going to fix. There seems to be another issue, but then I'll fix it very soon. But for then, let me add a data set to my button. Okay, a data set. I'll assign it to GH, and then that will be the code. So let me start my buttons. So header buttons. So to start my buttons, I'm going to center it so that I don't have to do the display flex like this and anymore. Now let me add the rest. Justify content to be center, and then let me add that the gap between the buttons should be 0.7 rem, So you see it is spaced nicely. And then I want to also add some styles, but then let me come back to the country and show you something. Let me continue from here. So you see that they are styled like the normal buttons, okay, but I want to style the BTN exactly, okay. So but then let me start the BTS, okay. So header, buttons, and then the BN, okay, so that it be specific to it. So the var will be color will be light blue, and then let me include all the other CSS to it. So I attach a weight of auto, and then I do a weight of auto, then I add a padding of 0.5 rem all around, and then I add the text align to be, in fact I'll make the text transform to be uppercase so that the text all shows to be uppercase, and then I add the border to be none, and then I set my border radius to 0.5 rem, and then from border radius, now let's check something. So you see that my buttons are styled, okay. It looks like what I want it to look like, okay. So after attachment, the border radius, I think I should reduce it to 0.25, and then let me give the letters a spacing of 1 pixels. Also let me give them a font size of 1 rem, and then let me give them a color of var, let me give them a color of black, okay. So now you see them black. Now they actually look like how I want them to be, okay. So let me see if there are any errors. I'll deal with the responsiveness later. Let me check. It seems like there are no spaces between. So let me come back here and check my search div. Oh, okay, the buttons has been placed inside of the search div, which shouldn't be. So let me take them out. Okay, they should be under the search div. Okay, so I just put it there. There's still an error. Let me check my search div. No, they should be directly under the search div. So yes, over here. So under the search div, and then I put them there. So let me delete this one, okay. So after I save it, now it's looking like how I want it to be, okay. It's actually looking like how I want it to be, though my search button is still not there, but then it's okay for now. Okay, so I want to attach a use state, bring in a use state to handle the active button. Okay, so I'm going to use a shortcut use state, and then yes, this one comes in, and then let me set my active BTN. I set my active BTN to all, so all the content to be the active one when the uploads are fresh. So my class name will be set to if the active BTN is equal to the code, okay. Then the class name should be BTN active BTN and then BN. Okay, the class name of active should be attached. It's a ternary statement, so I think this should be a question mark. Yeah, this should be a question mark, and then this should be a string. So without it being equal to, and then so we need to set our active styles. So I come here to set my active styles. So let me set that the header, the buttons, and then for the active, we want to change the background. We want to change the background to var dark blue, okay, and then let's change the color to white. Okay, so we do that, and then we check yes, and then the active one's color has been changed. Okay, everything is looking so good. Okay, but then let's add the search button before we forget. So it comes after the input tag button dot btn, and then it will be search. Okay, so we do that, and then that is it. Okay, so that is it over here. That's our mock, and then this is what we are building. Okay, so now in the hovered state, we need to work on the hover too. We need to work on the hovered buttons. Okay, so the hovered buttons are similar to the active buttons. Okay, so let me just copy this and let me set my btn hover. It seems like there's an error. Let me put a comma here, and then that is it. So Oh, I have to change this one back to work and look at what I've done. Yes, so my hovered state and my active state is same. So I've done that. Now let's move on. Let's move on to add that when we submit our button, okay, any of the button, you should be able to handle the click feature. Okay, so for us to handle the click feature, let's do that. Let's get the events handler E over here first. Okay, so we set our category to the fact that the category will be equal to e.current. Okay, our current target dot data set. Okay, remember that we added the data set of GH to it. So our category, let me log it for you to see something. So when you view the category in the console, when you click any of them, you expect to see the category in the console. Oh, I'm not seeing it in my console. Let me do something. Set active BTN to category. Okay, so I'm still not seeing it in my console. There seems to be a problem. Let me come down here to see something. Oh, it's not supposed to be on submit. It's supposed to be on click. It's supposed to be on click. And so when I click any of them, yes, now it's showing. I get my active BTN. Okay, when you click any of them, the active but BTN should be able to display for you. So I get them, and then let me come up here again, and then I think you are done with that part. Okay, so that is it. This is the mock one. So now I was left with the countries div itself, the CSS for the country, which is under the header. It is under the header, and for that I'm going to create a separate component for it in my UI. You see there's a card component over here, so that will be my country's cards. Okay, so I'm going to export my country's cards. My country's cards will contain all the countries. Okay, so I import my country's cards from here. So that will be my UI, and that will be placed under the header. So I put over here country's cards, and then I close the div nicely. Okay, so let me save it, and then that is it. So I'm going to work on the country's card inside of the country's UI component. So let me continue to import all countries. That will be my mock data. Okay, I'm working with the mock data for now. I don't want to use the API first. Okay, so I'm working with the mock data. I'll do the API search all in one later on. So I import all countries, and then that is it. Okay, so I want to create a state that will handle the data from the all countries. Okay, so let me just create a state called what's wrong? Let me create a state called data. What is happening? Oh. Okay, data to, let me set it to an empty array for now. Data capital G, and then I've set it to data, but first I want to create another state that will handle all the countries. Okay, so I set that state to all countries to fetch the data, the mock data that I have. So my data here will be equal to countries. Okay, but then I want to assign these countries to the data that I wanted to create before. So I want to assign countries data to a new variable. Okay, I'm doing that because I have a new component. Okay, so I want to set it to a data. Okay, I don't want to confuse my countries and all that. So I'll set my my new variable to data. So here data will be equal to data. Okay, so which means that I'm seeing my text underline here. That's my ESLint. My ESLint is telling me that I shouldn't have any unused bars. Okay, but you let me quick fix it, and let me just disable it for now. Okay, with the comment in my code, I'll see it and then I'll fix it later. Okay, so it's telling me I don't have to use unused bars, so let me disable that for now everywhere. And then after I do that, I'll assign my country's data to a new variable. Okay, so I come to my country's components, and then I put my data there, and then I'm going to map out this data. Okay, I'm going to actually map out the data. So here I'm going to just type in map, and then I'll map my data, and then but first I want to put the mapped data inside of a div, a country's div. Okay, and then let me do some CSS over here, assign some classes, project card, container, and then cards. Okay, so that will be all the cards, and then I put my mapped out container over here. So when I put my mapped out container here, I want to do a shorthand and ask an index to X, and then from over there I'll fetch all the data from my data.js files I have. So here I'm fetching the name, I'm fetching the capital, I'm fetching the flag, these three for now. Okay, so I'm trying to get the data. So I'm here, there's it. So name, capital, flag, continents, these are the ones I'm fetching. So that is it. Okay, so these are the ones I'm fetching. So for now, later I'll add the continent. Okay, I'll add the continent. So now let me return my components over here for my cards. Okay, so over here I'll put all of them in one big container, my mapped container. I'll put them in a project card container, and then my key will be index. Okay, each React card should get a key. Okay, and then let me just add some more CSS, project card red. Okay, so I'll alternate between the left and the right sides of my final design. You see, there's left and the right side. The left side has a red overview on it, and this one doesn't have the red overview on it. That's why you see that I've written project card red. Okay, so my project card red will be useful when I'm designing my CSS, when I'm finally doing my CSS. Okay, so that is it. You see it over there in the final project. You realize there's also a card over here that gives this design, and the card is divided into so many sections. Okay, so for the different sections, I'm just going to do first, I'm going to create an inner box for my cards. So I create an inner box for my cards, and then apart from the inner box, inside of the inner box there should be an image. There should be, let me copy this and put here, there should be a text box. So mainly there's an image and then there's a text box. Those are the main ones inside of the inner box card. Okay, so over here let me put over here the flag. Okay, so I put over here the flag. So in my project, when I refresh, all the flags should come at this point. All the flags should come. Yes, so I have all the flags coming in. So I have my flag over here. Now let me continue with my text box. Okay, so but then let me show you something. You see that the text box has the name of the country, the capital, and then all the other details. So let me create different divs over here to handle the title, to handle the subtitle, and then the last one to handle the bar. There's a bar in there. Okay, and then let me also handle the description too. Okay, so this will be project card description. So I handle the description too. So these are the divs inside of the text box: the title, subtitle, the bar, and then the description. So for the title, that will be the name of the country. For the subtitle, that will be the capital of the country. For the bar is just a div. Okay, and then the description consists of a whole lot over here. So I'll just create a span and then the text. So let's say the country has 4 languages. I'll duplicate it, and then I'm going to be putting data, real data over here. So this number of people, and then let me see 4 regions, and then let's see let me change this one also to something else. Okay, so let me say it has an area of this, and so that will be it. Okay, so now you have it here. That is it. It's showing over there. Okay, so that is it. So I come back to my country's card. In fact, to my card, I'm getting an error. Props validation. Yes, lengths for this error. I don't know. Let me just disable this error for now. Okay, so if I'm not seeing any errors in my code itself, but then speaking of problem, let me just continue to style these countries for it to look like this. So these cards, I want to style it, okay. But then I want to do something. If I should go through all the styles, that will take very long, because styling this took me a whole lot of time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to paste my style. Okay, but then let me shift this one up here. The hovered should come above the active states. Okay, so I've pasted it. I've actually pasted the code. So I'm going to go through the code with you so that you understand the design. Okay, so this is my project card, the whole container, the project card code. I've pasted the code, that's why you see it. Okay, so I'll go through it with you. This is the whole project card, and then this is the project card container, the container for each of the boxes you see over here. That's the project card container. And then inside the project card container is the, you see display flex, the weight and all that is being applied. You can just copy out the code, pause my video, and then copy the code for that. Okay, so that is it. You see is, and then the project card, each of the project card has position of relative, the weight, the height, the border radius, the cursor is set to pointer, so that when you hover it over it, it tends to a hand height of 180 pixels, border radius and all that. You see there's a border radius, and in case the text overflows is hidden, the cursor is set to pointer like I said before. And then I added the transition over transition, so that when you hover it over it, so, and now there's these two approach card before, so there is an overview, or there's an overlay on each of the cards. Okay, so that is it. And then the images too, you have to style the images for it to be sized like you want it to. Okay, so I told you there's a left and a right, that's why you see the nth child over there. There's a bar too, you see the bar too, and then there's a text box. Okay, so these are the text box styles, the before and after and all that. And then there's the title styles over here, you see Ghana, Gabon and all the rest. Those are the title text bars there. There's a bar, the bars are there. Okay, and then when you scroll down, you see that that was the bar settings. Okay, when you hover over the bars, you see that the bars move. Okay, so there's a hover state for the bars, which is down here somewhere. But then this is the description, the whole description. That's the style. And then I've made it responsive, so these are the responsive designs too. Okay, you can just copy out the code, or just pause the video, follow it and copy it out nicely. Okay, and then for this, for the small screens, these are the styles for the small screens. Okay, I've made it very responsive so that when you view it on a very small screen, everything comes out nicely. Okay, so that is it for the cards. Like I said, the designs are there. It will take very long for us to go through all that. So I want to show you something. I want to actually fetch the data, but then before I do that, I want to show you something. So open a new browser, a page, and then I'm going to use ChatGPT for this actually. Okay, so open up ChatGPT for your browser. I want to input the real data, the fetch data from the REST countries API, but then I'm going to use ChatGPT to make my work easier. So I copy all my code in my countries card, and then I paste it to ChatGPT. Okay, so first let me assist ChatGPT. Let me ask it to assist me with my React project. Okay, so it's happy to help me, blah blah blah. So I paste my code from my countries components. Okay, not the countries card, it is the countries itself, the countries component, because that's where you fetch the data and assign the data. So let's see our REST countries API. So enter REST countries API on the first link that pops up. Scroll down, you see all. This is the link for all the countries. Okay, so let me tell ChatGPT, fill the data from REST countries API. Okay, and then let me paste the link over there and see use this as endpoints. Okay, so you're also using our Axios to fetch the data, but then let's say use Axios to fetch the data. So ChatGPT does that automatically and this codes it out for me. It fetches the data using Axios. Don't forget we've installed Axios in our project, and then that is it. It has just done that. Okay, so in addition to that, I want you to implement something else. I want you to implement the search feature. Remember, there's a search button on our app, so implement the search feature too. So let me say implement the first insert to it. Provide the complete code. Okay, I don't want you to say that. Okay, so leave the country's card out for now. Okay, so let's just leave the country's card out for now. So that is the ChatGPT automatically codes out my complete code for my country's JSX. Okay, so now that's the search, and that is it. That's actually what I want. ChatGPT has coded everything else for me nicely. You see, use the use effects to fetch the data from Axios. It does it nicely over here, and over here it handles and the categories buttons, the filters. Okay, so I'll copy ChatGPT's code and I'll paste it. Okay, I'll paste it to replace mine. I forgot to import use effects. So I have to import my own use effects, and I have to also import Axios by myself. That's interesting. So I've taken something out. The set data was also included over here, but then don't forget I assigned the data to the countries. Okay, so here that's for the handling of the filter, the categories. Okay, so there's too many console logs over there. Let me take that one out, and then that is it. That's actually it. Okay, what I wanted to do. Okay, so that is it. It is there in my code, and then here's my inputs, and then handling of the inputs. I told ChatGPT to handle the search, but then let me just do it over here. So on change, we want to search the country. Okay, so anytime we change the inputs, anything in the input, we want to set the countries, but then we have to set an initial state for whatever we input. Okay, so the countries over here should be empty, since you have now fetching from the REST countries, REST address API. So now let's just handle the search feature. So over here, the search country, we create a function to handle the search country. We target the event listener, and then for us to handle that, we need to attach a value to our inputs. We need to attach a value. So our value, let's say you want to make it search word. Search word. Okay, so let's type it out here. Search word. Oh, this is bad. So let's do that. Search word. Search word. We've created a state for it. Why is my keeper doing that? So here we set search word, and then let's test it to an empty string for now. So we need to attach a value. So search word. Okay, so now we have a value attached to our inputs. That's search word. So in our search country function, we are going to manipulate it. So we are going to set our search word to e.target.value. Okay, so that anytime we type in anything, the value will be stored in our states. That's the search word. Okay, so we put it inside of here, e.target.value for our inputs. Okay, so now let me give it back to ChatGPT to handle my search for me. It didn't do that initially. So let me say implement search feature. Don't worry about the spelling. Okay, so implement search feature, and then it just does that for me. So I'm expecting to see a search. It created a new function over here to handle my search, but then it's okay. We can work with it. We can actually work with what's here. But let me copy what's inside of here for me to handle my search. So I'll just let me copy what's here to handle my search, like I said before. Okay, so let me paste this over here, and then that is it. So this piece of code will handle my search clearly. So let me change this one to start with. I don't want it just to include letters I type in, and then it will give me the results. So if the country .name.common, if the common name of the country from the REST API starts with anything I search inside the inputs, okay, you should be able to filter it out, okay. Or in any case, if the official name of the country includes any of what I searched, then you expect that the result will be part of my data. I believe you get what this is. JavaScript, basics of JavaScript, okay. So the country.name, the common over here, stands for the data from the API, and then the dot to lowercase means that we are converting the common name of the country all to lowercase letters, and then you are trying to state that anytime the searched word you are searching in starts with what we start with the country name, it should be able to give us the results, okay. So that is it over here, okay. And also we are also trying to say that the search word should be set to lowercase letters. So if somebody is searching in my app and the person searches in capital letters, it should be able to convert to lower letters for me. That is what my code over here means. I hope this makes sense, okay. So that is it. So we have two instances over here. It's trying to say that this should be happening or this should happen, okay. So I don't need this one again, all countries. And then let me come back to ChatGPT, paste my country's card. Now I'm working on a country's card. I hope you've realized I've left my country's component and then I'm coming to my country's card itself, the cards, okay. I don't want to use the mock data anymore. I want to use real data from the API. So I paste my country card code inside of ChatGPT, and then I state that fetch the data from REST countries API. Fill in all the parameters for the description. For the descriptions, okay. Don't repeat. Don't repeat, and then you should add appropriate ones, okay. So now I'm going to give ChatGPT this command, and then over here, that is it. Okay, so it has done what I want exactly. So I paste it to replace my own. Okay, I'm still having these validation problems. Let me disable all those for now. Let me disable my validation problems for now. Okay, so now that is it. So you see over here, let me explain the code ChatGPT has given me. You see there is a country, there is a name, there is everything, flags, there is all this data is coming from the REST countries API, okay. So ChatGPT has inputted this code there for me, okay. So when you scroll down, you see that my app stopped for one reason or the other. I'm going to restart it very soon, but then I want to show you something. In my project description, you see there is the languages.length, there is population, there is region, there is area, and all that. All this data came from what the REST countries API, okay. So I didn't have to type it all by myself because the AI did all that for me, okay. Very soon we will view the REST countries API to actually see what I'm talking about, okay. So my React app stopped. Let me restart my React app and see what I've done so far. So I restart my React app. It's taking longer than usual. My data is not being displayed. What's wrong? Let me refresh again. My data is not being displayed. I'm getting an error over here. Cannot read properties of undefined length. And so where I did my languages.length, I think there was an error over there. ChatGPT couldn't read the languages for one reason or the other. Let me check my code. They fetch the data to see something. And so I check over here, and I don't think the problem is coming from here. I think it's actually coming from the languages.length. Okay, so I have to go back to the country's cards components to check my data. But first, let me come back here and create a state value in my country's component. Let me create a state value of loading. Okay, so that when the data hasn't loaded yet, we are able to input something. We are able to see something on our page. We don't want a blank screen like that. Okay, so for our country's card components, when loading is true, okay, so right now it is initially set to false. So anytime loading has been set to true, yes, we want to display a div that says, let me create an h3 over here. So you want to create a div that says loading data. Okay, So when it's true, say loading data. Okay, so I need an icon over here. That's AI outline loading. AI outline loading. And so I put over there AI outline loading, and then I wrap it nicely. Okay, so when the data has not loaded yet, you expect to show loading data. But then when the data actually loads, this is a ternary statement too. When the data actually loads, then we load our country's card component. Simple as that. Okay, let me set it initially to true, and then anytime the data is loaded, we set anytime the data is loaded, we set the loading to false. Okay, so now let me refresh so that our page won't be blank. Okay, we don't want blank pages. So that is it. You saw over the loading data. You saw it, right? Okay, so that is it. So now let me come back to the cars component. That length something error that gave us the last time. But first, for the loading data, let me just style it before I move on. Let me just style the loading data. So I align my text to the center. So that is it. So let me come back to the top here. An error might be coming from here too. Let me disable this one for now. Later I'll come back to it. Okay, so later I'll come back to that. Don't worry, it won't cause, you can still leave it. It won't cause any errors in the code. So coming back to the cards component, the flags. Okay, for the flags data, let me show you the whole API, the whole REST countries API, the JSON file. Okay, let me show you something about the flags. The flags data hasn't been fetched properly, because when you load the REST countries API, the whole JSON data, come here, scroll down and look for flag. Okay, let me show you something. Let me show you. So flag, the flag over there shown is just a text, and that is not what we want. We want this one actually, flags. In fact, we want the PNG of the flags. So here we have to indicate flags.png. So over here we have to fetch the flags, change it to flags, so that here becomes flags.png. And then what the flags hasn't loaded yet, a text should be displayed as the name of the country. So let me say name.common, it should be a whole string, name.common flag. So it will be name.common space and flag. So when the data hasn't been loaded yet, it will say, let's say USA flag. Okay, and the subtitle should be the capital country, the capital of the country. So the subtitle here will be set to capital. So scroll over there, you see the capital. Okay, the capital might be giving me some error. So let's say if the capital is true, you want to get the first item in the capital. You realize that the capital was an array. Okay, so if the capital is true, you want to get the first item of the capital. If not, it should be an empty string. Okay, now for the languages, that also gave me an error. For the languages, basically this was the main error that came, languages.length. It doesn't recognize it, but then we have to fix this. So I think the problem might be inside of the REST countries API. So to get the languages, let's do object.keys and then the region.length. Okay, so the object.keys, if the languages are true, we should get the keys of the languages. Okay, so let me reload and show you something. Let me show you. You see now the data has come. Okay, so the problem has been solved. When you tap on any of the buttons, the data is supposed to load. Okay, so now I did object.keys origin. Really, I'll go back and fix that, but I want to show you something over here. For the collect feature, it seems like when the page load initially, there was nothing showing in there. Oh, did you realize that? Let's just use our search button and see. So our search, okay, our search is working nicely. Our search button actually works. I want to show you something. The languages, you see the languages, that's what I was talking about initially. So now the languages. So for the regions, realize that in the original code, the regions were all the regions I'm fetched of all the regions. We need to capitalize it. So I'm just going to create a simple function over here so that it capitalizes the category that we are being fetched. Okay, so realize that the category over here, you see this category in our mock data, the categories are all in small case letters. But then when you are fetching data from the rest countries API, these categories are in uppercase letters. Okay, so I'm going to create a function here so that when we fetch the data or when we select any of the categories, it's going to equal that which is on the rest countries API. That is why I'm creating the capitalize function over here. So capitalize and then S and S. So for the first letter of the category, we expect it to be uppercase, and then we add it to we slice the rest from it. Okay, and so that is it. It's as simple as that. So the country dot region over here, so we want to state that if the country dot region includes the category, but then we want to capitalize the category. Okay, so if the country dot region includes the category, we expect it to be able to filter it out. Okay, so click on any of the categories right now. I'm still getting an error. Oh, uppercase. Oh yes, I didn't spell it well. And so let me refresh it again. So it's supposed to be uppercase. Now the data is loading. Yes, I click on any of them and yes, everything comes out well. So that is it. That is it. So my data has been fetched successfully. So let me scroll down over here and show you something else. Come back to my app. I want to include the start of the week. In fact, I want to include the start of the week as part of the description. So the start of the week is, I just added start of the week. It's somewhere in the API. I wanted to show you, but I wasn't finding it. There's also time zone over there. Okay, so I add my time zone. Okay, I add my time. Any kind of data you want to display at this point, just look through the rest countries API and then just add it. Okay, I'm just doing something quickly. I'm just doing something quickly over here. Okay, I'm spacing them out nicely, adding comments and everything for them to look nicer. Okay, you can do that too. I don't want my data to look weird on the page, so I add some comments and then yes, everything looks okay now. And so that is it. So this is the whole of the data, but the cards look so small. The cards look smaller. So let me implement my search again for you to see that my search actually works. Okay, so let me type in Egypt and it comes. When you type in E, all the countries starting with E comes. Okay, so whatever you type, that is it. Okay, so my search button works now. So say I'm typing Egypt comes, and then like I said before, okay, you can enable your so it's the height of the cards was too small. The height I want is not this one. The height I want is not this. This is the height I want. 180 pixels is too small. Let me make it 200 pixels. So the height of the cards is okay. Can now accommodate the text 200 pixels. Okay, so we have it over there, 200 pixels. And so the data is being shown nicely like I am going now to the next page. That is the map. Okay, so remember in the demo I included the map where you can view the map of the whole world and then you view all the countries and all that. Okay, so I'm going to code that for now. Okay, so for the map of the whole world, so for the map.jsx, it's basically the mockup is basically back to home button and then this icon, and I don't want us to go through all the processes of coding that one out. This will take our time. Okay, so I want you to copy out this code. I'll go through with you. So this is your map.jsx file. You go over here, you import your React app, and then you import this React icon, that is AI file backward, and then you also import your map.css file over here. Then you import link from React router DOM. Okay, so after doing that, you create your map component over here. That will be the main component holding the map, and then under it, you create a div. That's a map container div you see over there, and then there's a link that leads to the path of the map. Okay, so the link to the path, you should specify the path of the link that leads you. So here the path is sending us back home, so that is why the path is just with a blank arrow with nothing in there. So this path leads to the home page. Okay, so inside that path is another div which contains what the AFL backward and then the back to home button. Okay, so that is the back to home section. That's the upper section. But then we also need to create another div called the open map. You see there's open map here. This div will hold the actual map itself. Okay, we will use ref to hold the map itself. So that is it. Okay, so let me show you the CSS file too. And so this is just a CSS file of the .map. It doesn't contain so much code. So you have your map container which has a margin top of 6 rem, and then you target that div, that home div, the back to home div. Okay, so it's a flex, and then the gap between them is 1 rem. I use center in there, that's why I just indicated 1 rem here, and the cursor is pointer for you to be able to click it. The color is blue, and then when you hover over it, the text is supposed to underline, and then this is the font size of the SVG over there, and then the container for the map, that is the open map div. You see the height for it is 100 vh, and so the map which will fetch from the open layers map is supposed to have this height of 100 vh. Okay, so that is it. Now let's continue. I'm going to use open layers map. Open layers, it's a nice library that gives you the map component. So in your browser, just search open layers. So when you search open layers in Google, the first website that comes up, you tap on open layers, and then their page pops up. So a high performance feature library, and then all that. Let me go straight into the documentations to see how it works. Okay, so I open their documentations, and then there's map, there's control, there's a whole lot. I want to use their map, so I click on overview of their map, and this is their code. So I copy their code. I'm going to use their sample code. Okay, but I don't want to do this all by myself. This is the map page. Okay, so I'm going to paste their code over here, and then on my map page, okay, this is my map page. On my map page, I copy everything, and then I give it to ChatGPT, and see that integrates the two. So ChatGPT integrates the open layers map inside of my code that I coded before. Okay, so it has integrated my map inside of here, and so that is it. The code, the output is this. It has done it nicely for me. It has integrated open layers map into my code. Now attach the map to the open map. I created a div, okay, the open map div. So I want to attach the map to the open map div, and then let's see if it actually did it for me. Oh, it still did not do it. It didn't do it like how I wanted it to, because I want them up to be mounted on the open map div down there. You see there's an open map div there. So let me ask it to actually use ref to do that. Okay, so now let's see if it actually will do that. So let's see. I think this time it did it. So let me paste the code. Yes, it's use ref. Oh, still this ESLint errors. Come on. And so I refresh, and then yes, that my map is being shown. Yes, so ChatGPT has done the work nicely for me. Integrated the open. There's an if statement there that I don't want. Let me take the if statement out. It's trying to say that if the map has been loaded, then the data should be displayed. But I don't want this if statement there. I want the data to load right away. Okay, I don't expect any errors from here, so the data should just load for me. So let me put my target.mapref.current over here, and then let me take my if statement out. Okay, so the data should just load right away, and then there's some .js over here. You can take the .js out. After all, you're importing from your node models, so you'll be fine, don't worry. Okay, but you can leave the .js there. It's important. Okay, but I want to simplify. So let me show you the open layers in my node models. Scroll down to open layers. You see open layers. Okay, when you scroll down, you realize that there's a CSS attached to the open layers. So when you open their CSS, you see they have a whole lot of CSS for their map. So I have to import their CSS too. Okay, not just my CSS, I have to use the CSS of the library. So ol/ol.css. Okay, and so that is it. You see that now the map is looking nicer than it was before. The map has been attached. Let me load my, some way somehow the all is not giving me the information I want. Did you realize that when I tap on all, I don't get the data? I would have to fix that. Okay, I'll fix that very soon. But I'm testing out my app again to see if there are any errors. So there's Afghanistan, there's Ghana. Okay, so that is it. My app is working nicely for now. Okay, so I can confidently say I'm done with the map. I'm actually done with the map. Yes, I'm done with the map. I reload my app again, and then when I tap on the country, so I'm going to design the country. This is from the final project. Okay, so I want to design this page, the details of each of the countries, the details for each of the countries. So when you tap on any of the countries, it should show you the details. Okay, so I am going to design that page very soon from now. Okay, I'm refreshing my app several times because it seemed like the all wasn't giving me the information. I realized that the all was still giving me the data I want. So all my buttons are working nicely. Okay, and so I think the all wasn't working because I reassigned the country's value to a new variable. So you see there's a country's div over there. Remember that I reassigned it to data. You remember I did that, but then I should have used a use effect hook so that anytime the page reloads, the country's data will be set to the new variable I have been set to. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So when you set something to a new variable and then it is not placed in the use effect hook, anytime you reload the data is not being able to be assigned to the new variable. Okay, so I want to use a use effect hook for that. Okay, and then here set data will be the new variable. Okay, so the set data here will be countries, and then the dependency here will be country. Okay, so anytime the country data is being fetched, it will be set to the new variable. Let's come back to our app.jsx and design our countries data. So countries details, so I'll put that in the under the pages, under the countries subfolder. Let me put there a new JSX file, that's country details.jsx. so that is this. You just type in RAFC, it's a shorthand. There's still this ES length. Oh, come on. So I have that over here. Okay, so let me first import it in my React app. So in my React app, I'm going to import countries details. So I have that over here. Let me duplicate this and make the changes of country details. And so here I want to specify the path that it should lead to the countries, and then the country name will be the last parts of the URL. Okay, so that is it, so that each of the countries will be fetched at the end of the day. Okay, so in my cart there should be what I'm going to import the link. Okay, so each of the card will be a link to the page. So each of the cards, so I put over the link so that each of the cards, so I need to import link. I need to import link. So each of the cards will be a link to the country details page that I'm specifying. So here will be a link to, I specify the country details, so that will be countries, and then slash, there should be a slash over there. Where from this div? And then the slash, the name. Okay, it shouldn't just be name, it should be name.com. It shouldn't just be name, but then I'll come back to it. So I want to show you something in the final project. You see the link over there, there's Ghana at the end. Okay, there's Ghana at the end, that's the name of the country. And so on the URL page or the page of the link, there should be the name of the country at the very end. Okay, so for my country details, let me design my country details without wasting much time. So for my country details, I want to create a div called country details. Inside of that div, I want to set my header to I'm going to create a header, and then I'll just input a link. That will be path links over here. Okay, so you see there's home and all that. So apart from the path links, there should be the main page itself, and then there will be an aside. Okay, and so where the flag is and all that, there's the aside information. That is it. So in my countries of CSS, I come back and then I type in the CSS for country details. So I'm inputting all the CSS in the CSS file. So this is the CSS for the country details. So for the country details, I want to specify that for country details div, the margin should be set to auto, 5rem auto, the width set to 80 viewport width. Okay. So before I continue, I want to import my CSS inside of my country details component. And so for country details header, for the header, the minimum height should be able to fit the content. Back to the country details itself, I want to see something. Okay, so it works. I set a background to red to test my CSS to see if it was actually working, because I had not inputted any content yet. Okay, so let me input the context. So home, so there should be a home and then the name of the country. There should be an arrow or a symbol. Let me see. So I need a React icon. I'm going to import AI caret right caret fill. In fact, AI caret right, and then I put that over here, and then that is it. And then lastly, there should be an h4 with the name of the country. Okay, let me just put here name. I'm doing mock data for now. ChatGPT will actually do the inputs on the data for me. Okay. So I put there the name over here in the country details. The name of the country should also come here. Apart from the name of the country, there should also be the capital of the country, like in the final project. Okay, so there's a name, there's the capital, and then there are these two icons over there. So that is it. So I've done the name of the capital. The second div should contain the two icons. The first icon is the share icon, and then the second icon is the hats. So FA hats. So I have to input those two over here. The share icon, I do that nicely, and then the next one is the hats. I also close it nicely. Okay, and so that is it. They are being displayed on my page, and so that is it. So my country details, I want to just attach center over here. I don't want to do display flex align center all over again. So I just do center. There's a big margin over here which I don't understand where it's coming from. Let me search country. I did the name country details country. Here should rather be name details. Now it has moved to its rightful place. Name details. So let me design the CSS for that, for the name details. So for the CSS for the name details, I expect that the content to be justified to be spaced in between, and then the border bottom should be 0.5 pixels solid. I want to put a color here which is a bit faint. Okay, let me use red and then select the color. Let me scroll down, and then I think this color is fine. Yes, so the bottom will be spaced out nicely. And then still for the name details, I want to target my icons. Okay, so they are in a div. Okay, so the display will be flex. The gap should be 2rem. Yes, the gap will be 2rem. And then I want to target the SVG. Okay, so to target the SVG, the background color of the SVG should be light blue. The font size should be 2.2rem. I add the padding to it, and then I add the border radius to be 10 pixels, and then I add the cursor to be pointer. Okay, so these are for the two buttons. The padding didn't work. What's up? So let me add the padding to be 0.4rem. Okay, now the padding is working. Alright, so that is it. Looking like how I want it to be. I need to attach a color to all the icons, so the colors will be dark blue. Okay, so that is it. So yes, it's looking like how I want it to be. Now I want to design the country details, the section, okay, the main section. It consists of two sides, that's the main and the aside. It will be displayed grade, and then for the grade template columns, I set it to 60%, 30%. So the left one looks bigger than the right one. A gap between them of 5%, the top margin to be 1.2 rem. The weight set to fit content, okay, and then that is it. So these two dips, okay. So inside of the first div, there should be an image. Since I'm not doing the real data yet, I'm going to use a mock, one of the mock images I have. So let me import a flag from my assets, one of the mock data that I have. Okay, so I use my flag. That's the mock data that I have, and then that is it. It has been inputted over there. That is it. And then apart from the flag, there's an info down there. So I have to input that info div. So let me put over here dot country specifications. So dot country specifications, that will be about the info. So I create an h3 title the info, and then apart from that, there should be then the specs. Okay, so the specs of the country will have a div here. Each of the specs should be placed in a div. So consisting of an h3 and an h4, and h3 of the official name. Okay, so an h3 of the official name, and then an h4 of what the name should be. So let me duplicate it. So that is it. That is actually it. So the official name, and then the name will be there. The continent, and the continent will be there. And then and the whole lot, capital, time zone, population. So I'll quickly do all that. Okay, capital, and then there's time zones. That will be time zones, and then that is it. And then there's population too. Population. You can actually do any data you want over here from the REST countries API. You can do hundreds of data at this section. It's all on you. Okay, so these are simply the ones I want to do from my app. So it's left with the aside. Okay, so I have to input the content for that. So for the aside, I'll fetch the location of the country. I'll fetch the location. I'll fetch and then there should be an image over there. Let me import that image from, let me just duplicate this for it to be simple, the map image. So I fetch from Africus. Let me put Africus here. So here will be map img. So with the map img, the location, that's the link, will be a p tag. Okay, so that when anybody clicks on the link, it leads them to the map of the country. So that is the p tag you see over there. So under that country location div, I want to put there the languages div, so that you see the list of languages of that country. Okay, so it has a heading, that's an h3 of languages, and then here is a mapped out data of the languages. So for now, for the mock data, let me just do English and French for now. Okay, so when I give my code to ChatGPT, should be able to input all the right ones I want there for me straight away. Then we are done. So with my mock data, that is it. So I come back here, countries.css. I want to star my my country specifications. Okay, that was on the main section. Okay, so my country specifications, and then the main, under the main and the aside, you realize that they all had a similar background. So I want to start them together. They all had a similar background. So over here, I'll just put the background that they all had. So I have to select the right color. This is too deep. Let me manipulate. I'll definitely find the color. Don't worry. Okay, I think I've got it now. Yes, I think that's okay. So the color is okay. That's the background color for the two of them. And then I'm also going to set a border of 1 pixel solid. Now I have to choose a color again. Come on. Whew. So let me look through. I think this one is okay. This color In fact, let me put this color rather here, and then let me put that one there. Okay, so now that is it. So the color should be faint enough, but not too faint, and then the transparency should be very glow. Okay, I think I like what I'm seeing now. So the borders are there. It's not really visible, but then they are there. Okay, so I had a border radius 2 for RM. I had a padding of 1 rem. I had a display of grid, and then the grid, and then let me give it a gap of 0.7 rem, and then a height of fit content. So the height of the div should fit the content that is there. So that is it. Okay, so I've designed the backgrounds of the 2 divs. Now I have to target each of them and style it. Okay, but then the width was too small. 38 looks a bit bigger. Okay, so now I want to target the country specification. So to target the country specification, I'll give it a top margin of 1.8 rem. Then I'll give it in fact it's fine. I want to target the specs itself. The specs, that is the specs you see down there. Yes, those specs is what I'm talking about. So I want to style those specs. I'll set the display to flex. Let me set the display to flex, and then let me give it a direction of column. And then let me align the items to normal. Okay, so I align my items to normal. In fact, the flex, I'm going to do align center again. So let me just put the center here, so that I don't do this flex align center anymore. And then I give them a gap of 0.5 rem, so that they are spaced out nicely. So each of them has a div inside of it. Okay, for the specs, they have plenty divs, so I have to target the divs inside of the specs. Okay, so I copy that part, and then let me paste it over here, and then attach the div. So for that div, I'll set my display to flex, and that is it. And then I'll align the items to center. Okay, I wish I didn't do this, but then this is the only way. And then I give them a gap of 0.5 rems, and then that is it. I think it looks like what I really want. Yes, so this part I think is fine for the specs. They are okay. Okay, now let me target the aside and the country location. So aside dot country location, and then inside of the country location, I'll set the padding bottom to 0.5 rem, and then I set my background to be white, and then I give it a padding of 0.6 rem, and then I give it a border radius of 10 pixels, and then I also give it a display of grid, so that I'm able to give it a gap of 0.3 rem, and then that is it. So it's spaced out nicely. Okay, the image of the map and then the link there, that's the p tag, is displayed there nicely. And so let me come back here, copy this. I want to target the image. Okay, so for me to start the image, I'll set the border radius to 15 pixels for the image of the country location. So that is it. It's looking okay now. It's not responsive. I have to work on the responsiveness. I'll do that very soon. Okay, so let me make it responsive once and for all. So for small screens, let me target the small screens. Okay, so for small screens, I expect that the country details, the name details aspects will be given in fact, let me target the H1 and reduce the size of the H1 to 1.7 rem, and let me the font size to 1.7 rem, and then it seems like it's so tight over there. It needs some space around it. So let me target the country details in general and set my margins to be 5 rem and 1.5 rem. Okay, so 5 rem on the top and down and 1.5 rem on the sides. And then for my country details and the section aspects, I'm expecting a create template column of 1fr. Okay, so it becomes 1fr, and then the gap will be set to 0.7%, and so that is it. The space is too small. 0.7 is too small. In fact, I need to increase it to about let me increase this to about 2%. Nice space now. So 2% space, and then that is it. And so after doing that, let me also target the main div. Okay, give it a weight of 80 viewport weight. It's too small. 80 is too small. Let me give it 90. 90 is too big. Let me do 85. Okay, so 85 now is okay. It's looking fine. I think it's looking fine. Yes. And so I need to give these ones a pattern. And so for the name details, let me give them a pattern of, let me give them a margin rather. A margin of 1 rem. Yes. 1 rem all around is so bad. Okay, so 1 rem 0 works. Okay, so I think this is okay for now. Yeah, it's okay. So I've made it responsive. Okay, so this is my page. I think it's left to input the real data from the REST countries API, but apart from that, this page looks okay for the country details. So before fetching the data from API, I'll need to do something with my code. Okay, so this is what I want at the end of the day. Okay, and this is what I have. So let me show you something from the REST countries API, and then let me open my ChatGPT. I'm going to soon integrate the two. Okay, so you need to access the name here. You need to use the name from the REST countries API, not just the whole div. And then, but before that, I need to do something. So I need to use params. I need to fetch the name of the country first. Okay, so to fetch the name of the country, so over here I do into bracket country name equal to use params. Okay, so now it fetches the country name from the URL. Okay, remember that we put that inside of our URL. So let me log it for you to see our country name. Okay, so these are actual projects. So I log that. You see the Ghana, it is there in the country name. That is it. Okay, so here I select all and I give it to ChatGPT, and then I give it this one too, the name endpoint of the REST countries API. So I'll say fill in the data for the country details. Fetch the data from this endpoint of the REST countries API. So I paste it over there, and then it knows what to do. Okay, also substitute the data for the name, and then the capital, and then population. I also want to substitute the time zones, the languages, and then I think that's it for now. So I just input this command to ChatGPT, and then it codes it out for me nicely. It fetches the data with Axios. It replaces the data for the name, and for all the rest, it does that for me like I specified. So I wanted to finish so that I copy it and use it fast. Okay, thank you so much for doing that for me. So let me copy the code, and then let me paste it over here. All right, so I have ChatGPT's code. So there's this error again. Let me disable it for now. Okay, so it's fetched the data using Axios like I wanted it to, and then here it did country names and all that. So trying to say that if the country data has loaded, created the use states. If the data has loaded, it means the data should be displayed. Okay, so you see that it's over here, country data is set to country. So I don't want this to be here. I want this to be a ternary statement, and so that if the data hasn't loaded yet, at least there's an empty string. Okay, but I don't want this to be an empty string. Let me just state it as loading. In fact, let me say country data details loading, country details loading. Okay, so that is it. And so I don't want this to be here. I want it to be inside of this div. So let me quickly do that. Put them inside of that div. Okay, let me do that fast. Yes, because I have the styles for the country details, and then the information should be inside of it. Okay, So I do that, and let me reload my page to see something. I'm getting a blank screen. It's an error. Country data languages. This language is something has always been a problem for us. ChatGPT is not able to fetch the languages from the rest countries API, and then we have to do it ourselves all the time. And so this time around, I don't want to do it by myself. Let me ask ChatGPT to do it for me. Okay. So I want to state that write the correct method for fetching the languages lists. And so I do that, and then it should come in right here somewhere. Okay. And so 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Is there. So ChatGPT has actually given us the correct method to fetch the languages data. So it says you use object.value to get an array. Okay. So that is it. So I just paste this URL in my code, and then I get the languages that are spoken. And so that is it. Now my data has loaded. Okay, but the flags hasn't changed. How come? We need to change the flags. So this needs to change to country data.flags.png. Okay, so remember we need to do that, and then the flag has changed. Thank you so much. So the flag has changed, and then that is it. So let me come back here. I load the countries, and then the details is being shown. Remember there's a link that leads to the map of the country that wasn't in our project too. Okay, so when you come back here and select any of the countries, so let's say you search Ghana. Okay, when you search Ghana, you expect to see the link that leads to the Ghana map. So you tap on the link that leads to the Ghana map, and then immediately you get your Ghana map. Okay, and we need to also do that in our project. I just realized we didn't do that. Okay, Canada. You see, Canada has 2 languages, English, French, and it's shown there. Okay, and that is it. So for the map, let me correct it right now. So I'm going to use a link tag. Okay, I'm going to attach it to only the p tag. So for my link tag, the p tag is supposed to be inside of it. And so this one has to be, the link has to lead to the map of the country. Okay, now we can get the path of the country, the path to the map. That is country data.maps.google maps. That will lead us to the path of the country. You scroll down in your rest countries API, and then you will see there that there's what maps. Instead of the maps, there's Google Maps. Okay, so do you see it? That is it. So the p tag will also be that. It will be the exact info to the path. Okay, so that is it. So we just have to save this, and then that'll be it. So we save this, and then we tap in our project, we tap on it, and then straight away we are going to the country. So get a link that leads to the country. Okay, so I think that'll be all. We've actually completed the building of our project. We've built a project that fetches the details of the country, that leads us to the map of the country. All our buttons are working nicely. So that is it. Okay, so search any of the countries, tap on it, and then it should lead to the country. Okay, Togo, it leads to Togo, details about Togo, and then that is it. Yes, so as you can see, you actually build this project. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you share this video with your friends. Let me know in the comment section, okay, what you think about the project that we built. Anything that you want me to build, let me know in the comment section, and I'm open any API you want to work with. Okay, so you can just build this project, show it to your friends how cool it is. Okay, practice it. Any errors that you face personally, make sure you search it on Google, use ChatGPT and the rest. All is available to you. And then so without wasting much time, I'll say see you next time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.